So porting a texture pack from 2.1 to 2.2 is a lot easier than you think, especially regarding my last video where I was basically completely wrong. In this tutorial, I'll show you how to fully port any texture pack from 2.1 to 2.2. And if you have any requests for texture packs to port, just DM me on Discord. I'm Death Knight Dubs. I'll be happy to help you port it if you have any trouble. I'll quickly explain how texture packs work and how the porting process works. Geometry Dash textures are stored together in large images called game sheets alongside plist files. The plist files tells the game where to find the texture in the game sheet. I'll show you an example. This is game sheet 04, and let's say the game is trying to load the create button. It goes to the game sheet 04.plist and it says, okay, well, let's see. It says the create button is stored at the coordinates 1, 2, 4, 6, and the size is 101 by 101. So then it knows that this area is the texture for the create button. The problem is the places where textures are stored is different from 2.1 and 2.2. The biggest difference is that icons are stored independently. In 2.1, they were stored in game sheet 02. I'll use this texture pack as an example. All the icons are stored here. However, in 2.2, they're stored in a separate folder independently with one texture for each icon instead of all being stored together. So that's the first big issue. The second big issue is that the content of the game sheets are also different. As you can see, game sheet 02 in 2.1 doesn't only have icons, but it has portals and it has triggers and all that stuff as well. However, if we look at what game sheet 02 looks like in 2.2, we can find it has portals, it has triggers, but it also has some blocks, it has a lot more triggers, it has slopes. So what happens when you try to load a 2.1 texture pack, the game gets confused and it doesn't know what to do because all the textures are in the wrong place. So a lot of it doesn't render, sometimes it just crashes, and you get a whole lot of errors. So what we're trying to do right now is transfer the textures from their old location in 2.1 to their new location in 2.2, and this is what this tutorial is going to teach you how to do. Before we begin to port, we have to make sure we have a few things. First of all, make sure you have an app called Paint.net. Any image editor could work, but I prefer to use Paint.net because it's free and it has a lot of features. We're also going to want to have this app, 2.2 tpconverter.exe. This is programmed by Weebifying. I'll put the link in the description. I'll put the link for Paint.net in the description as well. The point of this app is that it splits game sheet 02's icons away and it separates them into their own icon folder. You're also going to want to have your 2.1 texture pack that you're trying to convert. You're going to want to make a new folder for your ported texture pack. And you're also going to want to have a fresh copy of the resources folder. If you don't know where to find these, you go on Steam, right-click Geometry Dash, Manage, Browse Local Files, and then this folder right here is the resources folder. You can just, don't drag and drop because we want the copy to stay in here. You're just going to want to copy and paste it over here. So Control-C and Control-V. But it's going to make another copy because I already have it here. So I'll just cancel it. But that's what you're going to need before we start this. The first step is the icons, if your texture pack has them. So first we're going to want to run this. Again, I'll put the link in the description. We got it working. So what you need to remember with this is that it only works using these 4 files. Gamesheet 02, the plist, the PNG, and Gamesheet Glow, the plist and the PNG. So we're going to want to make a separate folder for that. I'm just going to call it old textures. Drag those 4 into it. Copy the path, paste it, then wait, and it's done. Converted textures are saved here. So now here we have our icons folder. So we can drag our icons folder into the ported texture pack. Then we don't really need this anymore. So you're already half done. The second half is taking the textures that aren't icons and transferring them, and unfortunately you have to do this manually. So here's what I do. So we're going to want to open our first game sheet in Paint.net. So here I know for this texture pack the only thing that's changed is the speed portals and the icons, so we don't have to worry about anything else luckily. And then you want to open the equivalent from the resources folder. So let's just search for Gamesheet 02. here we have gamesheet02 uhd.png. So copy it, Control C, put it in the ported texture pack, Control V, and you're going to want to open this in paint.net as well. So then you're going to want to transfer the texture from the 2.1 game sheet to the 2.2 game sheet. So I'm going to do it with the 0.5 speed portal. Make sure the whole thing is selected, and if it's not, you can use, in paint.net, you can use this move selection tool, and you can shape the selection like that. Make sure you only have the texture, and then Control C, copy it over, and then you go to the new game sheet, and you want to open up a new layer and then paste it. And then you're going to want to put it in the same place that the old texture was. So here, adjust it. I'm looking at the bottom angle to make sure it's 90 degrees so it's perfectly flat, because any discrepancies are going to show up in game. We want the textures to be as accurate as possible. Okay. Then you just simply have to position it over it until it matches up perfectly. Now a good way to test to see if it's matched up perfectly, how well it looks if you disable it. That looks pretty good. I think it would look better if we pushed it up. That looks basically perfect. So now what you have to do is you have to delete the original texture from the lower layer, so just do that. Obviously it might leave some remnants if the new texture is smaller than the old texture, so you can just clean that up. Go back to layer 2, and right there, you want to do this for all the textures in the game sheet. So for me, that would be these 4 remaining speed portals, and I'd have to transfer them over. I already ported this pack, so I'm just going to grab the new copy here to show you when you're all done the textures. Here's the new texture pack. As you can see, I transferred all of the textures over from GameSheet02 and also for GameSheet Glow. And I also even had to add GameSheet03 because the location of the texture changed. It was moved from GameSheet02 to GameSheet03, and that's this little button right here. So you might have to do that. It's a really case-by-case basis thing. You also have to drag the plists that are associated, otherwise the texture pack's going to freak out again. So from the resources folder, grab a new copy of the plist, Control copy it and Control paste it into your new texture pack folder again. Also, some textures might just be a little strange. For example, if you look at the old texture pack, if you look at the streak, here the image is, I believe this image is 16 by 16. It's 32 by 32. However, in the new 2.2, the image is stored not as 16 by 16, not as 32 by 32, but instead it's 30 by 60. So in that case, I had to copy it over and change the size of the image. But really, all you're trying to do is try to match as best as you can the 2.1 game sheet to the 2.2 game sheet. So the process shouldn't, it only took me about an hour for the first texture pack, and then you're basically done with the process. You're going to want to boot up the game to check it out and make sure it works, so I'll show you right now. I have SSOH going on right now, so it's a little... There we go. We have the new textures available to use right here. And the speed portal and everything has been transferred over, and the death effect works as well. You can see, even though the location was moved, I was still able to port over that little button right there. But yeah, that's basically everything you need to know. That's how to transfer texture packs from 2.1 to 2.2. So I hope the tutorial helped you. Remember, if you have any questions, just message me on Discord, leave a comment, contact me in some way, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. So yeah, hopefully this helped you, and if it didn't, well, hopefully you can find a solution that works for you. So yeah, that's all. Have a good day, and thanks for watching.